I'm Rick Wade, Senior Vice President of the United States Chamber of Commerce, the world's largest business organization. Today, we're talking about the business of sports and entertainment, and I'm delighted to be joined by, from my own home state of South Carolina, recording artist 803Fresh is in the house. What's up, brother?
You doing all right, sir?
Hey, good to see you, man.
Good to see you as well.
Listen, I want to jump right in because I've been waiting for this moment to have this conversation. And let me start off by asking, who is Douglas Furtick, 803Fresh?
Oh, man,
Who is you?
Douglas Furtick is just a small town country boy from Wagner, South Carolina, man. In between Columbia, Orangeburg, Aiken. That's where I'm from. That's Douglas Furtick. 803Fresh is a Southern soul artist, just pioneering the wave, advocating for a sound that hasn't really been put on the mainstream yet. So I'm really advocating for just a particular type of genre. That's it.
Yeah. How did you come up with? I think I got an idea of 803Fresh.
Well, the 803, that's the area that's our area code down there. The fresh part, I've always been fresh. You know, fresh is just not a name, but it's a persona.
Right.
So I've always been fresh, but my name is Douglas, so Dougie Fresh always kind of like to go to in school or whatever. So I just incorporated it too.
Got it.
That's it.
So you grew up in Wagner.
Wagner, South Carolina.
And I grew up in Lancaster, South Carolina.
The top of South Carolina.
Yeah. You've been there. I missed you there when you were over in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. But I'd be curious, how did you get your start in music? And like, who were some of your biggest inspirations when you first started out?
A lot of people don't know that my starting base was gospel. I started off in the church. I think a number of artists, that's where they really get their base from. Some of my inspirations growing up. But let's start off like this. I had the best of both worlds in my household. So I had a lot of blues on one side of the house, and I had a lot of gospel on the other side of the house. So on my blues side, my mom always had me listening to Tyrone Davis, Marvin C, you know what I'm saying, ZZ Hill,
right.
James Brown, Ray Charles.
Right.
And that sort. My dad, he was quartet based, so you know, Willie Neal Johnson,
yes, sir.
Lee Williams, Ken Spiritual,
right.
You know, those are a lot of my inspirations coming up.
Right.
And so I had to listen to both of them, and I think that's where I got my sound from.
Wow. So in that sound, I mean, it's actually, I think, kind of a new genre. Called Carolina soul, Southern soul, or is there a distinction?
There is a distinction. Carolina soul is just type of like a title that we've acquired for the Carolina artists, because if you listen to a lot of the Carolina artists has a quartet bass with a soul top.
Right.
Southern soul is just in there, but it's a mixture. It's a mixture of different genres of music. You got blues in there, soul in there, gospel in there, rock in there, bluegrass, even to a certain degree in there. So that's just the two.
So it's like the integration of blending.
And the whole milk pot is a goulash.
Yeah.
That's what it is, a goulash. That's it.
But it's resonating. It's even resonating with me as an OG. I mean, you hit a nerve because there is something very. You mentioned gospel. I mean, you can feel it when you hear the music. I got to ask you this because everybody wants to know. I know you talked about it. What's the story behind Boots on the Ground? I mean, it went viral. I see it everywhere. I see it in the faith community. I see it globally, everywhere. What's the story behind that?
Oh, man. So when I first started with Southern soul music, I used to have these things they call trail rides. Never been to one. Never been to a trail ride before in my life until I started doing Southern soul. So I had the opportunity to go to my first trail ride. I went to my first trail ride. I'm watching all these ladies, and they had their fans. And I'm like, what the fans was for? That's why I'm wondering. So I had the opportunity to go to my second trail ride, and none of the ladies had fans. So I posed the question. Where the fans at? So that's how that came about. Boots on the ground is the terminology that they use down the way, you know, for having a good time, you know, arriving just to show up and have a good time. So boots on the ground and where the fans at was kind of like a sleek marriage.
Right.
I just incorporated it too, and unknown to me that it was going to be across the country. I never had any ideas of it, you know, just going as far as it did.
You had to feel pretty amazing. I mean, that had to be an amazing feeling.
It was.
To see that take off the way it did.
It definitely was.
You've done interesting collaborations, I think, with Fantasia. Yeah. Beyonce referenced to use your song, I think, on the tour. Mm-hmm. You were at the BET Awards. I was out there. What can fans expect as you think about 2026? Any interesting collaborations, or you just kind of rolling with it?
You know, I really wanted to show not just my community, but you know, show the world that I could make my own way. A big shout out goes to Fantasia for for blessing me with the feature. I want people to understand that there's a lot of versatility in my music, and I want to show them that I'm able to stand on my own too, and not really need a crutch. But there's so many different ideas for features that I have coming up for 2026. So many different styles of music within the Southern Soul range that I want to give to the community, because I think that when they hear Southern Soul music, they just think country.
Right.
It's so much far more greater than that,
Yeah.
So really, we steady pioneering. I'm excited to see what 2026 has.
Yeah. Well, we're excited to see what you're going to bring.
Oh, man, it's going to be so much new music, man.
And so, we were talking earlier, we're the world's largest business organization, and we work closely with our trade associations, like the Recording Industry Association. You founded Snake Eyes Music Group. And I'm curious to know, as an independent artist, what's been your biggest challenge, kind of rising up and standing up Snake Eyes Music Group as an independent artist? Because I think labels, as we used to know them, kind of not the model, but you created your own enterprise.
Me and a fellow named Desmond Cunningham, he's in the building right now. We had a vision. I used to sing with a cover band. So we had these big festivals down the way. It's called like the Sand Hill Cook-Off. We have those down the way. And Mr. Cunningham used to always book our band for the shows. Now, I'm not too particular that he watched me like prior to, but it was like one particular show that he seen me. And he didn't record me anything, he just watched me. And, I'm guessing that he was like, you know what, he kind of got it. See me after the show, went out to the show. He was like, man, do you write your own music? I said, yes. What you trying to do with it? I was like, because I really wasn't doing music like that. I was just doing something to get a small check.
Right.
He showed me his vision. He broke down his vision, I broke down mine. We came together, and Snake Eyes Music Group, it was formed. So I'm one of the founding artists for Snake Eyes Music Group. And when I think about it now, I think about how much of an impact this particular song has made for Southern Soul. And I see where it has been in the past 2 to 3 years, how the incline has been there. And for me, I think that when it comes to this, I think that we're pushing, but it's still so much work to be done. Right. A whole lot of work to be done.
Right.
So I just appreciate him for sharing his vision with me. I appreciate him, accepting me. I'm tough to deal with. I'm tough to deal with as an artist, man. But both of the visions were matching, and we were both heading in the same direction, man. So that's how that began.
Yeah. And you have to look at this because it's a business.
It is.
And do you think of a business like, for example, you have an executive team, your marketing, what does an executive team look like at a startup, independent enterprise like yours?
I mean, you gotta think about it, PR, you gotta have management, your A&Rs, your artists, your engineers, it's just certain different protocols that we have. We have our certain people in place, and they just play a real good, intricate part into it. Everybody really fell into place, and they kind of set up in their own way, and they just play their positions.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't like we went down the line to be like, oh, hey, you're saying you're CEO and such and such.
Right.
Everybody kind of fell in place, just genuinely.
Right. I say as an OG back in the day, there are platforms now that didn't exist. YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify. I imagine these are very important as you engage your audience. And I'm assuming the digital spaces like that become really important to you.
They're very important.
Yeah.
To networking music, to advertise yourself, to be able to promote yourself, not only to your community, but to corners of the world that you can't touch. I mean, they play a very, very key part to it. And I think that that's why you now see a lot more independent artists. You see a lot more independent artists because a lot of things that the labels were requiring them, to have service for, the social media platforms do that for them.
That's right.
So they're able to market and promote and advertise themselves.
Right. And you go back and look at some of the legends from Motown and other artists. One of the challenges back in the day was the protection of their own intellectual property.
Yes.
Right. And even in the time of AI, I mean, I'm assuming that's a big issue as you build your enterprise. That you own your music, that you own your IP.
Yes.
I'd be curious also beyond streaming and the performances and Do you think about, as a business owner, other streams of revenue, sponsorships, merchandise?
Of course.
You're already thinking about that, right?
Yeah, you know, where the fans at, and you know, boots on the ground has definitely been a very, very marketable terms throughout this year. But even aside from that, you know, I've always had a mind of owning a few barbershops, owning a few nonprofits within my area. Running a landscaping business, you know, certain things like that, you know, not really necessarily like catered to the music, outside of the music, but with a small area like mine from Wagner, with a small area like mine, the type of things that I'm doing right now, you really have to stretch your like go out to try to find like outlets or segues to be able to hit those platforms.
Right.
A lot of them are not informed of it. So I really would like to, you know, implement some type of engineering program or producing program within my area, so it really gives them an outlet to reach outside of the boxes.
Right.
You know, it's the world is so much bigger than Wagner or Lancaster, South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times, especially with our youth, they just don't have the outlets to get them there.
That's right.
So that's why I really want to sow that seed down my way.
Yeah, I love that, and oftentimes some of that is exposure.
It is.
And that's something I love to work with you on back in our home state.
Oh, really?
I'd love to do that.
Really?
You know, in fact, you know, again, you know, as the world's largest business organization, we have 3 million companies or more. And so I talk to CEOs across the country. And I think there's something about artists, just like athletes. I don't know if it was LeBron or somebody who coined the phrase, now we're more than athletes.
Yes.
And I'm assuming the same thing holds true with artists, that you're more than artists.
Of course.
And I'd be curious, do we view artists like you enough as presidents and CEOs? Because you are. I mean, that's something, I'm just curious, you know, we should, right?
I do agree with LeBron when he said, you know, that we're more than just athletes. We're more than just artists. You know, I find myself going down the lines of philanthropy. You know, just teaching, sowing seeds is what I like to call it, paying it forward, however you will. Throughout this time of my newfound success, I've been a sponge. I've been soaking up the management part. I've been soaking up, you're saying, the ins and outs of the business of the music, and a lot of things that I've acquired. A lot of the folks in my community don't know.
Right.
So, all the while, with me being a sponge and me being malleable, like me, I want to be able to give it back to them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, therefore, I just want to acquire the knowledge that I can and be able to sow it back into the community. So that's why I see that I'm more than just an entertainer. I want to be able to be a teacher without the credentials.
Yeah. Well, you're doing it, speaking of teaching, because I think I saw you spoke to a music industry seminar at Benedict College down in Columbia.
And it was very good, man.
And what was probably one of the most important pieces of advice that you shared with those students, who a lot of them, I'm assuming, were aspiring music professionals? Is that one or two things that you share with them that?
Invest in yourself for one. You know, nobody's going to invest into you if they don't see that you have, the gumption or, the drive or the initiative to invest in yourself. Surround yourself with a good team. Make sure that your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed as far as business of it. Make sure that you learn the ins and outs of the business. And I also told them, from a spiritual standpoint, whatever you do today, make sure that you do it great. Because, there's always eyes on you. There's always somebody that's paying attention to you. And a lot of times we have youth that mimic our steps, they imitate our steps. So we just make sure that we project our steps in the positive direction. So, so that we leave a good lineage when we leave from here.
I love that. It's all about legacy.
That's it.
Now, I got to ask one last question. So, and I've been around a lot of artists, but with all your time in the studio, I think people underestimate the work that goes with that, the traveling, the performing on planes and hotels. You got to have some kind of work-life balance.
Yes.
Now, what else do you do or anything else for fun? I mean, what does 803Fresh do for fun to just chill out?
Man, this is my fun. I'll say it like this, I've had so much time to be relaxed and so much time to not be prioritized about my music career. When I started having children and I got out of my troubles, where you start, it doesn't really depict the one where you finish. So had a bad start. I just wanted something different. Yeah. So once I started having kids and once I started creating my own family, I really wanted to do something different, to be an impact in my, in my community, in my family. When I think about all the things that I could be doing, and I think about the things that I'm doing now, man. I'm just so overwhelmed that I don't look like what I've been through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My creative process is totally different from a lot of people. You're saying the work and family balance is different. I don't say that I have a scheme to really help me go through that. Everything is really day by day. Right. For me to have a little, just a little meditation. Mm-hmm. Meditation, it helps me, to have a certain little sense of, family time, you know what I mean? But as far as like downtime, this is my downtime. Right. This is a good time for me. Like I said, I had enough time to be lax. I had enough time to, play around in the street, and do things. Now it's time to build that foundation for myself and, for my family and my surrounding peers. Right. It really is time to work. And in the midst of me working, I'm having fun.
Yeah. Well, I see why you 803 Fresh, brother. Listen, man, thank you so much for joining me for this conversation about the business of sports and entertainment. And as a fellow South Carolinian, I'm proud of you. Thank you for stopping by to visit with me.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much.